So people have been asking me, and I'm going to address them both. In this video, I'm going to address two major things. One, the Surya Bonaly backflip controversy. And two, another question I have been asked, why aren't there more Black figure skaters? There is this zombie myth, online myth, that simply will not go away. One of my Patreon faves asked me about it, and I wrote him a whole thesis. So I figured I would make this video for you as well. It's the Surya Bonaly 1998 backflip controversy. And the story online goes that Surya Bonaly, who is an amazing figure skater, by the way, in 1998, she was at the end of her amateur competitive career. It was a very successful amateur competitive career. No matter what the myths may tell you, she was a very successful skater. Now, in the 1998 Nagano Olympics, she did a backflip in her free program, her free skate, which is a long program, and she was penalized for doing the backflip because the backflip was a banned move, and it had been banned for 20 years by this point, 21 years by this point, when an American, a white man, did it in competition, and they said, no more of that, no more of that. So Surya Bonaly, who was a Black French woman, 9 times French national champion, 5-time European champion, multiple world silver medalist. This is an epic amateur career. She did it to say F you to the judges, basically, and to leave her mark on the sport. It's kind of like people who pull the fire alarm on their last day of senior year or the last day of the 8th grade before they leave that school. They're just like, I'm leaving and this administration can go screw. Basically, it was fantastic. Somehow, that story online has become that they see if I can put together all the comments I've read, that they banned her from the sport because she did a backflip, which did not happen. That didn't happen. She did the backflip knowing she would be penalized because she had already fallen in her long program. She two-footed another landing and had a questionable landing on another one of her jumps. She was already out of the running for medal contention by this point. Coming into her free program, she was 6th. After this, she was 10th. And it was fine because she was going to turn pro next year. And back then, you couldn't make any money until you turned pro. So she was on her way to a very successful, even more successful professional career, in my opinion. And if you look at her skating, you see that it became so much more graceful in her pro career. To bring it back, I'm seeing things get very hostile in the comment sections online now, where veteran skaters, people who have skated their whole lives, who, look, you can skate your whole life and not be nearly in the running for the Olympics or the nationals or whatever, but you can be coaching, you can be synchronized, et cetera, et cetera. People who have skated their whole lives and know exactly what happened because it's a legend are now starting to cuss people out. They're starting to cuss out these people who come in and talk about the backflip. And I just think that's a really, really toxic environment. And it doesn't bode well for figure skating as a whole. So I'm just going to bring this back and let you know the history of what happened. Figure skating. It used to be about figures, which means you actually would draw on the ice with your skate. Different kind of turns. You'd go around in a figure 8. I'll actually put this on the screen so that people can see what I'm talking about. But up until the 1990 Olympics, there were 3 components as to what you were scored on. And one of them was your figures. It was very important. And you see people, even today, you can see people drawing these elaborate designs with their skates. That's why it's called figure skating. Figure skating. Now, the old heads will be very, very mad nowadays, and they'll just say it's basically figure jumping. It's not even figure skating. But the basis of the sport is how well you can control your edges. By 1998, that was phased out, and there was an artistic component to the score. The artistic score was not just about how cute your outfit was. The artistic score was about how well you could control your edges, how complicated your footwork sequences are, because it's not just spins and jumps. Between the spins and jumps, that's where the figure skating comes in. That's where your skating skills come in. If you want to see somebody with impeccable skating skills, Yuzuru Hanyu. Hanyu is a god of the ice. There's no other way to say it. He is an amazing skater. Take jumps out of it. He is an amazing skater. And you have to think that in the 1990s, when Surya Bonaly was competing, all of those judges and all of those coaches had grown up on figures. So they were even more so than today, they were very stuck. I want to say stuck. That's a bad way to put it. They were very insistent that the skater be a good skater, that they have skating skills. They call them moves in the field now, that they have competent moves in the field. And there are different turns. Trying to explain to people who don't know anything about skating, who just tune in every 4 years and decide to lecture the skating community. There are many different turns. There's degrees of difficulty in all of those turns. And it was very, very important at that time and now that people be able to skate. They be able to control their edge, that they're skating on the right part of their blade, that the skating is silent, they're not toe picking, and that they are moving gracefully. That's why they call it artistic. They call it artistic, but what it really means is, do you have those skating skills? The artistic score is called a component score, and it includes all your skating skills, your transitions, your performance, composition, interpretation of the music, really the reasons why we watch skating. Sometimes I call it artistic score, but it is called the component score if you're going to look for it. Now, in 1998, also, that was a 6.0 system. So if someone did a perfect program, they would get a 6.0. 6.0. Easy to understand, 6.0 system. And a lot got lost in that. And since the 90s, they have since changed it to a points system, which is harder for the general public to understand, but it is actually more fair. And if Surya Bonaly were competing today, she might do a lot better because they would score the degree of difficulty in her jump sequences. They would, oh God, I don't want to get too into the weeds here, but there are levels of spins now. There are levels of jumps. You get a certain points for this many jumps. You get a certain points for this level of spin. Did you change your edge? Did you go to different positions? How fast were you spinning? Things like that. All of that can be ranked. And now you have different levels of spins, different levels of jumps in the point system. You'll see it up in the corner. There's the point system that they're tabulating. And they also get an artistic score. But the problem now is that artistic score often just runs, basically reflects your technical score. And so we've had the same problem. The 1998 Olympic problem, the big question of the 1998 Olympics wasn't, could Surya Bonaly do a backflip? The question of that Olympics was Michelle Kwan versus Tara Lipinski. Was it going to be skating or was it going to be jumping that won? And Tara Lipinski got it. She was the better jumper. She had triple sequences, triple loop, which was just... It was a knockout. So she won that Olympics. But the old heads wanted Michelle Kwan to win because she was a better skater. And that is a huge difference. Now, this same debate has come up again since then in 2018. In those Olympics, it was, is the better skater going to win or is the better jumper going to win? And the better skater did not win. She got silver once again. Yevgenia Medvedeva. We're talking about two Russian girls here. We're not talking about anything to do with race or class or anything. We're talking about two Russian girls from the same camp, and Yevgenia Medvedeva is my favorite. She always will be. She was the best. Nevertheless, that is the old debate in figure skating. If you're ever wondering, it is jumps versus skating. And it's not fair, but the artistic often does not get enough credit, especially now in the new scoring system. Another point about Surya Bonaly is back then we used to have pros. Figure skaters could go pro after their amateur career, and now they can tour Japan. You'll see these massive shows, just not in the United States because it's not as popular in the United States. But back in 1999, when Surya Bonaly went pro, there was a huge professional skating circuit. They had TV contracts, which means you could see it on TV, on network TV, and people would tune in live. It was a major, major thing. And right now, figure skating just is not that popular in the United States. It's simply not that popular for a variety of reasons, which we'll go into in a minute. So those were the there's many, many things that went into the 1998 Olympics that have really very little to do with this backflip. In fact, the backflip is such a non-issue. Even Surya Bonaly says it's a non-issue. Here's an interview she gave to the USA Today. She says, and she has recently come off an injury at this point. She said, "I was not fully at my potential. I was just in bad shape," Bonaly recalled to USA Today Sports. "If I cannot do any more triple jump combinations or something like that, it's my last competition coming up right here." So she knew it was her last competition anyway. And I'm like, I don't have much time to think about it. I have to do now because I'm not going to have another chance. Bonaly knew she'd be penalized for the maneuver, but after years of seeking approval from judges and navigating the moving goalposts that seemed to apply only to her, she decided to fully embrace her own identity. She wanted to make a statement and prove what she was capable of. Bonaly wanted to entertain the crowd. And off of this backflip thing, that wasn't even the best backflip she did. I saw her in pro do a backflip, land on one foot, and go into a triple sow cow. If you don't know how impressive that is, there are skaters in their entire careers, the most they ever do is a triple sow cow, and not even getting up to there. During the time that Bonaly was skating, this is what the coaches used to say of that time. It was obviously before in time, but they used to say that everybody in the world who could do a double axel knew about each other. So for her to be able to do a backflip, land on one foot, and go into a triple sow cow is next level athleticism. But she didn't really get there, and she couldn't show it into her professional career. The pros used to be where the good skating happened. They used to be able to use the songs that they wanted. Back in the 90s, you couldn't have lyrics. So you couldn't have hit music like you can today. You had to wait till the pros where you could have the hit songs. You could skate as you wanted. You could do what you wanted. Now, there's a big controversy coming out this year because Ilia Malinin, he did a backflip in his short program and he wasn't penalized because they took away that rule in 2024. So it wasn't illegal, but he didn't get any additional points for it. He also didn't do it as gracefully as she did. And even though the backflip looks impressive, it is not the most impressive thing that he was doing. I know he messed up his long program, and that's actually quite sad. I couldn't bring myself to watch it. I saw the results on Instagram, and I was just like, I can't. Because this guy can land a quad axel. A quad axel, if you don't know, people thought it was impossible 5 years ago. They were like, no one will ever be able to land the quad axel. Hanyu can't land it. It can't be landed. The physics aren't there. People used to say this about all these jumps, but the physics aren't there. You simply can't be in the air long enough and rotate fast enough for any human to land the quad axel. And Ilia Malinin has done it. He's done it in competition. And unfortunately, he messed up his free skate. He finished outside of medal contention. And that's a great tragedy. But I'm still hoping that he comes back and wins the next Olympics. Nathan Chen did it the last time. I'm getting way too inside baseball here. I will move on from this. So basically, Surya Bonaly has said in this USA Today interview, she does not want to be remembered as a one-trick pony that can only do a backflip. She did a lot more than that. She had incredible spins. She captivated the crowd. And when you go into her professional career, you see her just blossom into this beautiful skater. And the 1998 Olympics, she did that as a, screw you, I'm leaving. Senioritis kind of thing. She was out, and it was a great thing. And also, no, she didn't win an Olympic gold medal. However, she had an amazing, successful amateur career. It's not like she didn't ever medal. It's not like she didn't get anything. She got a lot of things. And if anybody were to have that career now, this person would be a legend, and she is a legend. So to see people come in every 4 years and completely insult the sport of figure skating based on very limited knowledge that she doesn't even agree with, it does make people mad, and it makes people yell at others in the comment section. Now, recently, there was somebody who asked me why there aren't more Black people figure skating. Why, when they go to the rink, because they're a new skater, why are there not more Black people figure skating? And I think that it's a reasonable question. And my response to that is, it is amazing that anybody takes up this sport at all, ever. First off, Star Andrews. Star Andrews finished, I believe, 6th at nationals, but she is a Black figure skater and she is amazing. And 6th at nationals is an incredible accomplishment. If you're 6th in any of the team sports in the country, you are famous, you're on cards, people are buying your t-shirts and your jerseys. But if you're a 6th place figure skater, nobody knows who you are. Nevertheless, Star Andrews, the girl that did Whip My Hair at age 3, is now retired from the sport. Doesn't that make you feel old? And I'm going to link all of these programs at the bottom so that you can watch them in their entirety. But Star Andrews is a Black figure skater who, in my opinion, had a fairly successful career, but she was not able to get the jumps, the most difficult jumps. And that's why she wasn't in the higher... She wasn't going to the Olympics, basically, because you need triple triples, you need triple lutz, it is figure jumping right now. It is totally figure jumping. In the 1980s, Debbie Thomas dominated U.S. figure skating, and she had a chance to beat Katarina Witt at the 1988 Olympics, and she just didn't. She fumbled her program. However, Debbie Thomas was a Black figure skater before Surya Bonaly in the 1980s. Very successful amateur career, went on to have a very successful professional career too. Nevertheless, when you go to the rink, you're not going to see that many Black figure skaters. Why is that? Well, you're going to see a lot of Asian figure skaters. You're going to see a lot of white figure skaters, and you're going to be like, oh, wow, there's a lot of white people here. And you're like, oh, they're all Russian. They're all Russian, or half of them are Russian. So you got to take it like that. But the reason why you're not seeing very many Black figure skaters is manyfold. One, it's simply not known that it could be a popular sport for Black people. It's not on TV anymore. We don't have our idols like we used to have, where we had a Michelle Kwan, everyone could look up to them. There isn't that sort of famous, mesmerizing personality, especially someone who is Black right now. We don't have the professional figure skating on TV anymore. We don't have those TV contracts. Those skaters can make good money touring Japan, so they're not doing that anymore. And that's unfortunate because people don't see an example with their own eyes, whether it be white, Black, Asian, Hispanic. There's simply nobody to look at. It's so hard to watch figure skating. It's incredible how hard it is to actually watch figure skating now. And you have to be all in to watch it. So that's one reason we don't see many Black figure skaters, is because young people don't see it as an example. Number 2, it is super expensive. It is so expensive to figure skate in the United States. It's crazy. One of my old coaches was French, and she said that in France you had team classes. You all went out as a group and you learned, and it wasn't that expensive. But here we have group classes up to a certain point. And once you reach beyond that point, you have to get your own coach. And coaches cost $100 an hour, 80 if you're lucky, but you're looking at 100 more per hour for a coach. And you need multiple lessons a week. So just do the math. Recently, Alyssa Liu's father tabulated how much he spent on her career. And he said $500,000 to $1 million he has spent teaching this girl how to figure skate. That is an obscene number. It's a number that most of us can't even fathom for a sport that there's no guarantee that you're going to make it to the Olympics. There's no guarantee you're going to make it past a point that can even make you money, because it's just not that popular. Unless you're going to become a skating coach, what are you going to do with this skill? And are your parents going to invest that much money? And we're not even talking about how much skates cost. It's like $1,000 per pair of skates. You got to get the boot and the blade separately. How much ice time costs? A lot of times you're talking about $15, $20 an hour for practice time. Do the math on that. Where is the rink? How far are you driving? It's a full-time job to support a figure skater. So you need a parent that is driving them to the rink, sometimes an hour each way, discussing with their coaches, finding a good coach, because that's not a guarantee that any coach you're going to get is going to be a good coach for that person. And the parent needs to understand. Now, I know what I described now sounds like a lot of youth sports, because youth sports have just gotten completely insane. Like young hockey players, young basketball players, you're talking about these parents who understand, because they either skated or did basketball or hockey their whole life, that understand what it makes to make a champion and the amount of training that they are putting into this kid. How is someone who doesn't have a parent like that supposed to compete? Think about it. Maybe they could back in the day. I know Brian Boitano said his parents would just drop him off at the rink and he became, an Olympic champion. But that's just not the way it is today. You really need someone there. You need a coach, you need a choreographer, and you need that support parent whose almost full-time job it is to coach you, basically. And so that's another reason we don't see that many Black figure skaters, is because just the cost of it, the time commitment of it. You need a previous generation of Black figure skaters to train their kids. And Star Andrews' mother is an adult figure skater, so she understands what it takes. But a lot of people don't understand that. And you think you're just going to go and, if my kid shows talent, okay, great. Look, I am very much looking forward to my daughter, but the worst sentence you can hear as a parent is, "Oh my God, your 6-year-old daughter is so talented, she just hit her axle."
This is gonna cost me.
Oh, I would rather see 100 check engine lights than hear from a coach that my 6-year-old daughter just hit her axle. It's so expensive. It's stupid expensive. Plus, it's just simply not in the culture. It's simply not in the Black culture. I would like it to be. It would be nice if it were. There are great organizations like Diversity on Ice, which is trying to put it into the culture, is trying to get Black figure skaters out there and train the next generation of young Black figure skaters. But right now, it's simply not in the culture. You're looking at, it's really messy and complicated. And you see that cultures in which it is a part of is like Canada, maybe the Northeast. Amber Glenn is from Texas, so I'm not sure where she was introduced to it, but I know that there is a huge skating scene. There are skating scenes all over the country, actually. They're everywhere if you are able to look for them and find them. But if there's no overlap, it's really hard to find. If you want to get your kid into skating, feel free to leave a comment at the bottom and I will help you find the nearest skating rink. What you're going to want to do is get them first in the Learn to Skate program, and then get them a good coach, after that. Once they graduate from the Learn to Skate program, then you want to get them a good coach that really fits with them. And don't be afraid to switch coaches, because not every coach is created equal. And some coaches are good for some kids and not good for other kids. And then you just want to put away all your money forever and all your time forever so that you can support this girl to probably not go to the Olympics. I remember one of my old coaches, Janet, she skated against Tanya Harding, and luckily she lost, because Tanya Harding can really be touchy about that. But she said she would never get her daughter into skating now. Like, yeah, if she wants to do shows, she can do shows. That's fine. But she would never get her daughter into competitive skating in this day and age, because what are you doing to yourself? Really, what are you doing to yourself? There's also, I'm not going to go into it now, but the sport breaks you down. Skaters that I know who have skated their whole lives, who skated at high levels, you're talking hip replacements, knee replacements, eating disorders, just a lot of things that are frankly a little bit toxic. So don't ask why there aren't more Black figure skaters. Ask why there are any figure skaters. And a lot of the ones that you see, the entire men's Olympic team, their parents were all Soviet figure skaters. They were all Soviet figure skaters, so they get the free coaching. But for everybody else, it's really, really expensive. That being said, I love the sport. I can't wait to get back to it. I know it doesn't seem like I love the sport, but I actually do. I do it as my own kind of therapy. But you have to find your own love in the sport. You can't do it because you think you're going to medal, you're going to do this and you're going to do that. It's like, probably not. You're going to do it because you love to do it. And if you have a kid that has that much talent, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for you.